All right, welcome everyone. TP here. I had a viewer that requested that I do a breakdown of my build. I just put out a video just over 2 weeks ago, but I figured since season 3 just released, I will go ahead and put out another video and give a breakdown of my build for season 3. Going into season 3, I anticipated respecking my AP and making a slight tweak in my power and contact, which would have given me full power on my driver and 99 contact with my 3-wood irons and wedges. But in the end, they only released one new level of fittings, so everything stayed the same. For those of you that don't know, I 3-click. I've been 3-clicking for more than half my life. That's just what I do. So off the tee with my driver, I prioritize power. And then on my approach shots, like with my 3-wood irons and wedges, I prioritize mostly contact and swing path, with just a little bit of power. So power and contact stay the same. I'm not worried about correction. Swing path is 95. I'm not worried about shaping, recovery, transition, rhythm, putt weight, or putt rhythm. And then I put as much as I could into putt contact and putt path. All right, let's go over my tee skills. I have the basic tee shot and the choked tee shot. The difference is with the choked tee shot, you lose a little bit of yardage, but the marks on the top and the bottom get a little bit bigger, so they're easier to hit. And then I also have the power drive and everything associated with that, because in my 33 plus years of playing golf games, power is always an advantage, and you can never have too much of it. For my approach shots, I have the basic approach shot and everything associated with that. And I have the choked approach and everything associated with that. Now, the difference between the approach and choked approach as compared to the ones off the tee is the approach and the choked approach, from the fairways. The marks on the top and the bottom are a little bit bigger to the corresponding marks off the tee. So that makes it a little bit easier to hit the marks, off the fairway or wherever you're hitting from, as opposed to a tee shot. And then I also have off the deck that is specifically for the driver, so I can, if I have a super long par 5 and I need to driver to reach it, driver off the deck. I don't have the knockdown, would never use the knockdown. I do have the spinner and everything associated with that. I do have the runner, which I would never use, but I had to unlock it just so I could get the spinner. And then here's a shot that I use quite often is the pitch and everything associated with that. In terms of recovery, I have the punch, just in case I hit it into the trees. I have the flop, and then I have the super flop. The difference is the flop goes a little bit further, and the super flop has a little bit more stopping power. And then I do not have recovery, would never get recovery. Let's go to my bunker skills. I have the splash, everything associated with that. I have the blast, everything associated with that. And then I have the pick and everything associated with that. I don't have the power pick, and I have no intentions of getting the power pick. For my green skills, I have the chip and everything associated with that. And then I also have the putt and everything associated with that. I do not have the lag putt. I would never get the lag putt. I would never get the Texas wedge. I'm a damn good putter, and I think the Green Raider would be beneficial to me. And then I have no plans to get the bump and run. These are the clubhouse pass spills. Tie spinner, don't have it. The long flop is one club that I wish that I did have, but I don't have it. And then the lob, I would never get. And the other 3 here are for future CHP skills. So that's the breakdown of my AP and my skills. Let's go ahead and take a look at my clubs and See how I got them with fittings. All right, there's my driver. And like I said, I prioritize power off the tee, so I have 5 power fittings. So 26 power added to my base power of 67 gives me 93 power. So I didn't max out, but I gained a little bit more, and it equates to 1 more yard off the tee. My 3-wood, irons, and wedges all have 2 power and 3 contact. So with the power, I gained 1 yard with those clubs, and with my contact, 18 to my base contact of 75. That puts my contact at 93. So the marks did get just a tiny bit bigger. And then my putter, I put everything in contact. So my contact with my putter is at 97. And then with my ball, most everything that I play, the main stuff, which is 2K daily and weekly, and the high rollers, I play a ton of that. That stuff is on Pro Am because I 3-click, and that's the only thing that I can play on. It's Pro Am. So you got to have power to compete, especially if you're playing high rollers, because occasionally, if you go to extra holes, it comes down to basically longest drive, and you don't want to be hamstrung by not having the flight ball. So. All right, that's a breakdown of my AP and all my skills and my clubs and fittings for season number 3. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll answer you as best I can. So, thanks everyone for tuning in and have a good season 3. Take care.